Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Zoe Charles, founder of the Chic of It, one of the UK's largest and longest running ballet school. For more than 2 decades, she has helped thousands of women rediscover confidence, joy, and self expression while launching the careers of internationally acclaimed performers rather. Zoe is also a TEDx speaker, writer, somatic dance practitioner, and mother of two, whose work today focuses on helping women create souls aligned life filled with power, purpose, and presence. Zoe, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Lovely, lovely to meet you.
All right. So Zoe, can you take us back to, when you were much more younger? Your 20s, basically, right? So, what was life like in your 20s? What were your dreams and your ambitions, and what were the experiences that shaped who you are today?
Oh, that's a great question. So in my 20s, I had just finished university, and I went to a beautiful university town in Brighton, by the sea, just not far from London. And I had been doing a performing arts degree and a visual arts, so I was really creative. I wanted to get busy. I wanted to make work. I wanted to be an artist and make my mark in the world. And so obviously the next step for me was London. So I packed my bags and I went to London, and I had this sort of fantasy version of what I thought London would be, and I thought it would be. There's a famous story called Dick Whittington where he imagines the streets of London are paved with gold. And I went with this sort of naivety. And sometimes naivety is a really good thing, because if you know all of the challenges you're about to face, you probably wouldn't do it. So I think naivety is an absolute blessing and something you don't have that much when you get older. So in your 20s, embrace the naivety of a dream. So yeah, I got to London. I was 21, and I immediately was hit with the challenge of how expensive it was. I didn't know anyone there. Lots of my friends had been at university, had gone back to family in London, or had a connection, or had a job lined up, and I didn't have any of those things. In fact, my family had separated whilst I was a teenager. I'd lost my secure kind of base, so I was really winging it. And I got to London, and I had to really do many different jobs. And I did all sorts of things, from being a fundraiser to working in mental health. And then I did events. I worked with a theatre company. And what I noticed was there was a real divide between people who could go and live at home and pursue opportunities without the pressure of having to find rent money, etc. And those like myself who were like, we had to find, I had to pay so much before, and then take time off to go get those opportunities for myself. So if I wanted to be performing or acting or doing anything that was about my bigger dream, that had to come after the rent money. So it was super, super challenging. But I got a really great opportunity early on. So when I was about 22, my then partner was working in a college teaching 16 to 19s graphic design, and they had an opportunity in the art department for someone to just fill in. And I'd done A-level art, and I was good with kids, good with people. So he said, come in and just fill in, and you can be a supply teacher. And that was one of the most incredible things that happened to me in my 20s, because it took me straight away from doing these sort of menial jobs where I was getting on minimum wage to being able to be a teacher. And I loved it. I absolutely loved working with teenagers. And I taught art, and then I was able to teach performing arts. And that was probably one of the biggest gifts and opportunities that I got in my 20s, because what that allowed me to do was have a better quality of life. I got to cut my teeth on teaching. It was quite an amazing opportunity, really, because I didn't have to go through the traditional route of getting a PGCE. I just went in and learned on the job, and I learned so much about life. I learned so much about how you hold space, and so much isn't about what you are teaching, it's how you're being with people. And I was specifically working with kids who had very difficult backgrounds. For them, even getting to the college was probably more risk involved in that journey through various different gang areas. and difficult, deprived areas to get to the college was more risk in what they were doing than most people have to do, in years of their lives. So I really started to understand things are not equal, and how do you create safe spaces for learning. So that was amazing. And then towards the sort of mid 20s, I realized this job wasn't for me, but I loved it, but it wasn't my life's purpose to do this. And that's when I sort of came back around to my own performing just dreams, and I set up I was sort of working as a troupe in the burlesque industry, which was very new and emerging in London at the time. So burlesque, I found this super empowering, incredible community. It was very much run by women for women. And I got this opportunity to perform and as a burlesque performer. And then the next natural step was to combine the two, to take my love of performing and my love of teaching and set up what started off as a one-off event called The Cheek of It as the event, then turned into a burlesque school that's been running for 20 years. So that actually started when I was 27, 28. Um, yeah, so that was in a nutshell my 20s, quite a ride.
Right. Wow. Thank you for sharing your 20s with us. I think it was pretty interesting, right? Anyone in their 20s today can actually relate to it, especially when you spoke about naivety. I mean, I think naivety is one of the greatest thing that could ever happen to anyone. It just comes with so much peace, right? But then it's temporary. At the end of the day, as you grow, you begin to lose it and then you face reality. Right. So yes, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing your story with us. And talking about finding, the ballet and building a community, right? So you've created spaces where women felt safe, to express themselves. And so what surprised you most about, the transformation you witnessed?
Well, this became obviously less of a surprise over time, but um,
Mm,
I was really blessed with a mum who really empowered me and my sisters. And she didn't ever bring shame. She never shamed us. She never commented on our bodies. She had a very difficult time herself, so it would have been very easy for her to see our sexuality, sensuality, our bodies as a threat and as a danger and something that needed to be protected, shut down, and shamed. But she actually did the opposite. She really celebrated us, and she really taught
mm,
us about trusting ourselves and guiding us away from toxic people, and it doesn't mean those things didn't happen in life. It's just we had a kind of like barometer to know what worked, what felt good, and what didn't. And I was able to take that gift into my teaching of women. So one of the things that it's kind of the opposite of surprise, but I think it might surprise other people, is often women come because they think they need fixing. So they think they're not sexy enough, they think they're not thin enough, they think they're not pretty enough, they think they're not enough. And they've been told that, or they just believe it because they've absorbed it through society, through the messaging that women receive from such an early age. Like we go from being a girl where we can be, we can enjoy running around and dancing and listening to music and playing, to being sexualized really early. So suddenly
mm,
there is shame, and suddenly you are responsible for what men think about you and
mm,
what they project onto you. And it's so crushing. So I meet so many women who come with this baggage, which is so normal. It's not their fault, but they think, they've internalized all of this shame. They've internalized all this, they should be this, this, and this. Their worth is dictated by what men see in them. And they need to be that women are forever fixing themselves. The whole,
mm,
commercial industry, makeup, diet, clothes is all around women working on themselves. So the thing that we do with my school and with the medium of burlesque is we disappear that conversation. We don't actually spend time on it. We just go, got it. That conversation actually may never disappear, but we're just not going to focus on it. So instead, we start with a mantra, which is the I am enough mantra. And we start with saying that mantra over and over again until you feel a physical response in your body. And when you get that physical response, you know that you've received that understanding on some level, on some somatic level, that you are already enough. And from that place, you can play, you can be creative, you have choice, you can find a whole new level of self-expression, because we can spend an entire lifetime trying to be enough, like the whole life mission, just trying to get to the beginning. Whereas we came into the world enough, we don't need to be fixed. So the biggest surprise, I think, for a lot of women is that they come in thinking they need to be more of something or less of something. And what they find out is we're not even going to use that algorithm, if you want to think about it in today's terms. We're just going to sidestep that. We're going to start having fun. We're going to play. I ask women what inspires them, what empowers them, what enables them to have fun. What do they find fun, funny? Are they political? Are they curious? Are they comedic? What is it about themselves they love? What it is about the world, women they love? And we forget about that conversation, and we start getting into the depth of who we are in a really authentic, fun, light-filled way. And they come out of the other side with the transformation they didn't know was possible, because what they came in for was something else that was based on an old disempowering narrative that doesn't serve us. And what they reveal, as in burlesque says, we strip, we throw glitter, we do all this kind of stuff. But what they actually reveal is something more about themselves, something more raw, authentic, and more powerful.
Right, like you said, the daily mantra, right? I am enough, right? I feel like there's a way you say it, it gets to the point that your brain starts to, accept that you are enough, right? So it's not just physical work, it's also inner work too. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so constantly saying it. So yes, what have your 20s, or should I say, what have 20 years of teaching and mentoring, taught you about confidence and healing in women?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it does come back to the I am enough, because the more we can do that, the more we can heal those parts of ourselves that have been exploited, or where we've experienced trauma, where we have experienced shame. So much of what women are dealing with on a daily basis is shame, and it's so tucked in to the fabric of who we are from such an early age. It's even hard to know that. So it's a training in like how we catch the conversation, how we can just be conscious of it and go, oh, okay, I'm having that conversation is running the show again. And I'm going to park that conversation, and I'm going to come back to what inspires me, what empowers me, and what brings me fun, and what brings me joy. And confidence for women, the more self-expressed they can be, the more confident they will feel. The more they can enjoy movement for them, the more they can breathe into the belly and allow softness in the body. So we're not constantly trying to, hold it all together and make ourselves hard and flat. Like the more we can celebrate, accept that our bodies are divine, just the way they are, the more confident women feel. And do you know what? Here's an interesting thing. 20 years of teaching, it has changed, because I am noticing younger women coming into my studios, women in their 20s, whereas I was teaching women in their 20s 20 years ago. So those women are in their 40s now. And the conversation is different. I notice a lot of women are more confident now. Like a lot of the body confidence conversations and work I was doing 20 years ago is less relevant, because I think I think maybe there's a divide. I think there's a lot of women in their 20s now that I'm seeing that are coming in, and they don't care about the size they are. They don't care about what they're wearing. They're just like, this is who I am. I'm here. And they can move in ways that's really like embodied and inspired. So that's really exciting for me. And then on the other side, you've got women that are, in their 20s already changing their faces. They are taking every cosmetic procedure going. They're obsessed already with youth, even though they're young. And so we've got this sort of divide. And again, I would say to those women who come in, it is about finding something that is true for you, something that is older and wiser and deeper, that you can connect to, other than the social conditioning that we are currently experiencing. So that is confidence. And I've also noticed in movement, because there is definitely an assumption that the more fit or thin or toned you are, the more confident you'll feel. That's not my experience. I see so many women who are the aesthetic perfection physically and have no confidence. And And then I see women who are cellulite and shape and softness and, you know, everything that wouldn't be accepted in the mainstream, who are so full of confidence because there's a level of acceptance and love. And when they're moving, it's intoxicating to watch because they are so um, glorious when they move. They are so powerful when they move. And that's a really interesting thing because it's really not about your size, your shape. It is about how you hold yourself.
Oh, all right. So confidence. And still on confidence, right? Because you just said it, there are some women who actually look really good physically, but like they do not feel confident, right? And I think confidence it has to do with inner work, basically.
Yeah.
So what do you think are like some daily habits one could, be doing that could help you improve your confidence and make you love yourself more?
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, back again, I am enough statement. I would do that. I would get a page of A4 and I would write that over and over and over again until I get a physical response. And once you get a physical response, I would allow the writing, the journaling to continue, and you might get a message from your higher self in that moment or your inner self of love or compassion or respect or forgiveness or whatever you need to hear. That happens often with groups of women that I'm teaching. The next thing I would do, I have like a rule that I don't wear clothes that are mean to my body. Like I don't wear stuff that shoves my tummy in. Like I wear soft fabrics, I wear luxurious fabrics, I wear lovely fabrics that celebrate my skin. And that is just a rule. I'm just not interested in being uncomfortable in life. So finding style, I love fashion, I love glamour, I love makeup, but finding a way so that it celebrates your body, not hides your body. The same with makeup, like finding a way to use makeup that is a celebration. Women have adorned themselves with jewels and beautiful clothes and makeup since the dawn of time. It's only since the, you know, uh, patriarchy, capitalism, that we are taught that these things are to hide ourselves, not to celebrate ourselves, to make ourselves another image for someone else, as opposed to our most natural, beautiful version of ourselves. So I would say have some fun. And if it's not been something you've done before, start with what inspires me, what am I interested in, what makes me curious from a color, a fabric, and follow it and explore it and have some fun with it. So that's the second thing I would say. I also have a way I coach women around looking at photographs and looking at images themselves in the mirror, because it's so common when you look at yourself in the mirror to immediately focus on the part of yourself that you don't like. And or immediately, if you see a photograph of yourself, like an entire night I think can be ruined if a woman looks at a photograph that night and it's horrible and she forgets what an amazing time she had and all the fun because there's this one photo. Likewise, she could have had a really boring crappy time, but there's that great photo of her and suddenly she remembers the whole night differently. That's so sad. So when we have our performances, we have a professional photographer come in, and then the women get to see themselves in the performance. So I have a little piece I send out. So just look at the photo first and just notice the conversation, because you need to get it out of the way. It's never really going to go away, probably. So that conversation, like, oh, my tummy looks fat. Oh, why am I standing that way? Oh, my posture's not good. Oh my God, I had no idea my bum looked like that. All of these things, I would say, just notice it. Write it down if you want. Notice the dialogue, notice the narration that's going on, and then put it to just accept. Okay, fine, I got it. I got all that negative conversation. Thank you. You can be parked. Then go back to the photo and look again and notice different things. Notice your smile. Notice how other people are interacting with you. Notice remember the feeling. Notice other parts of your body that you don't automatically look at because we're so trained to look at the bits that we find fault with and not the rest of us. And 9 times out of 10, those women have a completely different experience of themselves when they look at photographs. They allow the negative stuff because you can't suppress it, just get it out of the way, and then come back and look with fresh eyes and see beauty you never saw before, see charisma, energy that you never saw before. And the more you do that, the more you train yourself to do that, the more you will naturally do that. So I think I can't remember how many Did you say 5? Anyway, I think that's 3 or 4. I've given you.
All right. Wow. So yes, thank you, Zoe. Personally, I think I'm learning from that, and I would actually adopt that, honestly,
Oh,
especially when you spoke about, investing in fabrics that do not, hide your body, right? Something that feels
mm,
soft on your skin. That is something I actually do
yeah.
resonate with, right? I mean, treat your skin like a treasure, right? And you have to invest in
Yes,
fabrics that help you
yes.
feel better, right? So, wow.
Yeah.
That is something I'm adopting, honestly. Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We are
All right.
sacred. We are sacred, and we got to treat ourselves like that.
Like that, exactly. All right. So thank you, Zoe. I'll say this has been amazing, honestly. And, before I ask my final question, right, I would like to ask this one, talking about today and life ahead, basically. So you're now focusing more on speaking, writing, and mentoring future teachers, right? So what excites
Mhm.
you most about this new chapter of your life?
Oh, so much. So what I've realized over almost 20 years is um, how I can help women specifically take an idea
Mm,
and bring it to reality. And we've done that in performance. And I've also, been blessed with the skills and the knowledge and the ability to create a business that's lasted for 20 years in an industry that's not always
mm,
very, it's a very niche thing, and it's not that easy. Lots of people have come and gone. So I understand about how you create community and how you create space and how you um mentor people so they actually go on and succeed. So I've made a difference in the world doing that by working with those individuals that have come through the school. But what if I now can take those women who feel that calling to teach, feel that calling to hold space, and mentor them to do that? Then all of them are making a difference, a transformational difference for, tens, hundreds, thousands of women in their community that I wouldn't necessarily have access to or work with. And that
mm,
really, really excites me because that's a much bigger mission, a much bigger vision. But also, this business, and I wouldn't have thought of this in my 20s, but it hugely served me in my 30s and 40s. I created a business that I could run whilst being a mum. That's
mm,
incredible. Like I've been at home with my kids and I've got a team of teachers working. So if I can empower women financially as well as empower them to do something that lights them up and empowers them
mm.
to empower other women, and we've got a revolution on our
Mm.
hands. So that is what really lights me up about training women who've come from the school, who have come from other industries that are so lit up by what we do, to create their own version of this that reflects who they are.
Wow. I love that you mentioned empowering women to empower other women, right? Because
Yeah.
it just reminded me of a conversation I had with a man, right? A friend. So he said he would rather empower a man than to empower a woman financially, right? I was like, why? He said he noticed women like to gatekeep, right? You cannot help a woman and she would want to
Yeah.
help other women, right? So I think that
Mm,
is something we as women need to work on, especially to listeners out there. If you're a woman
mm,
and you have the if you can empower someone else, do it, specifically women,
mm.
because it's to our own benefit if we all grow. Right. So I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned that. Empower a woman to empower other women. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, we are helping ourselves. We are one. We are women, right?
Yeah.
And we can
Yeah.
only give the love we deserve to ourselves by ourselves, right? So I highly recommend
Yeah.
empowering women. Right.
100%.
Okay, so yes, thank you, Zoe. This has been amazing, honestly. And finally, I want you to talk to someone out there, right? Especially women and young adults, basically. So,
Hmm.
what advice would you, give to them? Because there are some people right now that are currently facing so much anxiety, right? They're all
Mm,
trying to figure out life. They really don't know what to do. So, what advice would you give to people in that situation?
okay. Well, we have a lot of women who come to the school who have had that very experience, and they say they've been
Right.
very anxious and they've been very isolated and very alone, and then they're lacking in community and that sisterhood or that support. Um, Firstly, I would just say um, it's okay, and don't make yourself wrong. because we can again heap a lot of shame on ourselves.
Mm,
And I felt so lonely in my 20s, so lonely and so lost at times in my 20s. And it just starts with one action. And I would just sit down and write down what inspires you or what lights you up, what gives you just that little flicker of joy. Just anything. Could be, anything, a color, a film, a podcast, a person, a particular walk, a view, drawing, like anything. Just write down what inspires you and just take an action towards that. Just one, because it can be really overwhelming if we think we've got to fix our lives. But really, one
mm,
positive action leads to another, and you will start aligning with what is meant for you, what is out there, your purpose, your calling, and you will align with other people that are here to help you, because we're all here to help each other. We're all here to cross paths so that we can support and help each other. So just know that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. We are living in extremely difficult times with a lot of things that I didn't have to deal with when I was 20. So just come back into yourself. I am enough. Over and over again, get that piece of paper and just ask yourself one thing that inspires you, one thing that lights you up, one thing that brings you joy, and take one action towards that today.
oh, okay. So yes, thank you, Zoe. I would say
My
this
pleasure.
has been really amazing. I've learned a lot, right? And I believe my listeners will do the same as well. And it brings me to the final segment of my podcast. I call it the rapid fire segment. You could either
Okay.
answer with a word or a phrase starting now. So, what is one word that describes your life right now?
Full. Full. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So, what is a song that always lifts your spirits?
Oh my gosh. I love Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. Anything by Stevie
Hmm.
Wonder will immediately have me up and dancing, but Isn't She Lovely is one that just makes me
Eventually,
feel
lovely.
adorable. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So yes, thank you. Tea or coffee?
Cough. Both. That's hard. I have to have a cup of tea in the morning. I must have a cup of tea. Can't function. But then I need a coffee within an hour, and I love them both. I love them both. I couldn't be without either. Can't choose.
All right. Okay. So what is one thing you think every woman deserves?
To have fun. Have
Hmm,
fun. Have fun and joy and pleasure in her life, because it's sometimes like an
hmm,
afterthought. But actually, if we are leading from that, if that's what sources us, everything else aligns a lot easier and comes to us more
hmm,
naturally.
Wow. And finally, what is that thing you're doing today that brings you joy?
Oh, I don't say it brings me joy. Well, in a minute, I'm going to speak to a woman who wants to learn to teach. So that's going to bring me so much joy.
Mm,
It's going to find out what inspires her and how I can help her. And then when my
mm,
kids get home, they're going in the paddling pool. We'll all go in the paddling pool because it's so hot.
mhm.
So hot here. And that will bring me joy. And we'll eat ice cream and we'll sit on my swinging sofa and we'll eat ice cream. And that will bring me joy too.
All right. Wow. Okay, Zoe. Yes, thank you, Zoe. This has been amazing, honestly. And before you go, where can listeners get learn more about you and also connect with you?
Okay, so if they can follow me on Instagram at Burlesque Cheek, and that's probably the easiest way to find out about me. And on there, we have all of the links to the website, cheekofit.co.uk. They can also follow me at Sacred Showgirl, which is my own aside from the school, where I'm doing lots of other interesting things with speaking and somatic dance meditation.
All right. So yes, thank you, Zoe. I'm going to put the link in the show notes
Right.
so it's
Yeah.
easily accessible for listeners. And to my listeners, I'll say thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Zoe. Do have a beautiful day ahead of you.
You too.